a lot of the people are asking questions about how Congress went into recess a day early because they didn't want to put up a Jeffrey Epstein vote, and what that really is about. What's going on? Why Trump is just running away from this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has tried numerous different ways of throwing like a smoke grenade or a flashbang in this direction to get the trail off of this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, because his own base of support is just kind of collapsing in and of itself, because they're like, why won't you give us information on Jeffrey Epstein? Like, did you have sex with Jeffrey Epstein? What's actually happening? And basically they've tried everything at this point. First Trump was like, it's a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. It's whatever. Don't talk about this, please. It's boring. Why are you still talking about this? Don't talk about this any further. Or, the Clintons actually did this, and then they weirdly put their own name in the pile for some reason. And now they've done like a string of different like dispersion techniques, distraction techniques, like trying to make people focus all of their attention on other stuff. They released like all of the MLK files, I guess, the other day. Then they launched an investigation into Barack Obama, which Donald Trump has explicitly stated he is using as a mechanism of distraction away from the Epstein stuff. So we shall see where this goes. The Obama stuff might actually work because, Republicans do hate him a lot. And they're looking into potentially prosecuting Barack Obama, which is the funniest way to try and move away from the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, is just like relitigating Barack Obama's attempts at throwing the election in favor of Hillary Clinton in 2016, which failed, okay? It failed. Trump literally became president. You won, dog. What do you mean? What is this sore loser shit? Like, you haven't figured out a new meta since 2016? Yeah, he's also blocking a stadium agreement if the Commanders don't change their name back to the Indians. I guess like that's like another thing, but I don't think that has a lot of motion, is what I mean. Yeah, Hillary buttery emails, Benghazi. They're just like hitting all of the lines over and over again, and it hasn't worked. A federal judge has rejected unsealing Epstein's grand jury documents, and this just happened also. This just in. And not only that, but also Donald Trump's own lawyer, who was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer as well, is now working with the DOJ and is directly talking to the Ghislaine Maxwell team. Ghislaine Maxwell, pardon, incoming. Who knows what she'll say? Ghislaine Maxwell obviously is Jeffrey Epstein's. Ghislaine Maxwell is obviously Jeffrey Epstein's associate, as you guys know. Don't forget that one of Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers died. Yeah, that one is not that surprising. The is 80, bro. Come on. Prominent Miami defense lawyer Roy Black, who gained national attention by winning an acquittal in 1991 on the William Kennedy Smith rape trial, was involved in scores of other high-profile cases. He was 80, man. Like, I don't think this was like a suspicious death. It's like saying Ozzy Osbourne died. Isn't that suspicious? Nah. He was just a kid, guys. Okay, listen. I know that because we follow politics quite a bit, 80 is basically like a freshman senator, okay? 80 is like the youngest congressperson. So clearly you guys think, well, there's so many sexy, young, virile congresspersons at the early age of 80, so it's just like strange that this young man would pass away like this. But I don't think it's that suspicious that a 80-year-old died. It's just I don't think that that's the case. Yeah, speaking of young virile congresspersons, here's another one. Rhodes Scholar John Kennedy, also at the young age of 73. He had a little short circuit moment. Let's take a look.
I'm sure Jesus loves them, but everybody else thinks everybody else.
Hey.
So I guess we had some more technical problems.
Dude, it's so funny because they're both old as dude. Like, you got an old ass alcoholic interviewing another Jerry. What is happening? It's like this feels like a meme. Like, just pull yourself out of the situation, because like our expectation is that our Congress is old as and also the people who watch television are old as and also the people who are on television are old as But it's like, when will the boomers let go? When will the boomers let go? Because they are hanging on, man. They are really hanging on. They're hanging on, and they got the death grip. Have you ever had a situation with like one of your grandparents? Maybe they got Alzheimer's, mine all did, and they just like hold you tight with their hands, and they got the death claw, and you're like, where is this power coming from? You know, old man grip. That's how they're holding on to their positions of power, bro. What is going on? Just let it go. Let it go. Why are we waiting for you to die on camera? What the hell? Who is this for? When they are in hell, they will petition Satan for leadership. It's just so strange, man. It's strange. It's a strange situation. Careful, you're going to get striked again. Wait, what? What did I say? I didn't say anything bad. Oh, yeah. I mean, look.
I'm sure Jesus loves them, but everybody else thinks everybody else.
So I guess we had some more technical problems.
He's like, oh, it must be technical problems. Oh, really? Yeah. Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, there is technically a problem. And the problem is that we have 70-plus-year-old senators still trying to talk through a stroke, dude. Their brains shut on and off. That's the problem. And it's not like a little problem. It's not a technical problem. It's a big problem. Is the host claiming that the audio is breaking and the senator can't hear Fox? Yeah, he's just trying to run cover. Kennedy's trying to talk through IRL toolkit. Old man exa stopped working. I mean, when was it working, really? It's just so busted. It's not a technical difficulty. It's a biological difficulty. And it's not even a difficulty. It's nature running its course. That's what it is. Simply put, it is nature running its course, okay? Like, this is expected. The BBB wouldn't have passed if the oldies got out of the way when they should have. Oh, it's just crazy. His systems aren't perfectly clear when it's at his local Klan meeting. Being mean to the elderly? Yes, dude. I'm going to continue being mean to the elderly if they don't get out of the way and if they're short-circuiting in broad daylight, in real time. And they're senators. I'm not being mean to them because they're like at the old folks' home and I'm like, F you, old man. Like, I'm not being mean for no reason. It's just like, it's unreasonable for that person to still be in a position of power at this stage in their lives, okay? It's not like your grandparents. That's a person who has awesome amounts of power. In any case, let's get back to Trump facing mounting pressure over the Epstein files and how Donald Trump is trying to get away from the Epstein stuff. And he has done some very funny things in the process. Let's take a look.
This morning, as the Jeffrey Epstein saga rages on, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who until recently was President Trump's personal lawyer, is preparing to meet with Epstein's former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence for conspiring with Epstein to traffic underage girls. President Trump says talking with Maxwell wasn't his idea, but he's fine with it.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do, yeah.
This comes as Maxwell has been appealing her case, trying to get out of prison. Trump used to socialize with Epstein and Maxwell and was asked about her when she was arrested in 2020.
Do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
In an interview with Axios shortly after that, he wished her well yet again.
Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a
Well, first
person
of all,
well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know that.
I'm glad that this is getting recirculated because again, I've pointed to this clip so much. It lives in my mind. It occupies a space in my brain because of the way he defends Ghislaine Maxwell here. And dare I say, the way he defends Jeffrey Epstein here as well. He's like, a man who was falsely maligned, good friend of mine, Jeffrey Epstein. Financier, didn't do anything else, folks. They're saying he was sex trafficking. I don't know anything about it. And and his beautiful girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, I wish her well. I wish her well. I wish her so well. Her boyfriend died. Her boyfriend died.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
Trump and some of his top
It wasn't only this. There was a press conference during COVID. Yeah, that's what he's referencing. He first had the I wish her well moment in a press conference during COVID. God, there were so many crazy moments happening at that time. I mean, this entire interview is actually crazy. Like it bears repeating. It bears a revisit because like there's so much happening in that back and forth between Jonathan Swan and Donald Trump, where he just asks like very basic things, and then Donald Trump's responses are so insane. But like the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff is fairly relevant for this moment.
allies spent years stoking shadowy conspiracy theories about Epstein, but now his administration has backed off a promise to release the full FBI files on Epstein.
The president's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It doesn't wash.
The House Oversight Committee Tuesday voted to subpoena Maxwell to testify. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, a close ally of the president, announced Congress is going into early recess this summer, avoiding any more votes on the Epstein case. The Trump administration is falsely claiming that Obama deliberately manufactured and politicized intelligence reports about Russian interference in the 2016 election. In a rare rebuke, Obama fired back, his spokesman pointing to the
Oh God, Obama is honestly put him in jail, bro. Like actually, Trump, do it. Okay, he deserves it. He deserves it for many different reasons. Obviously, because he did war crimes when he was president, but he especially deserves it because he has been so absent from the conversation as perhaps one of the most famous politicians that are still alive, like one of the most popular politicians that's still alive. And he has actively avoided talking about Israel. He's actively avoided talking about the Trump administration, like kidnapping people for speaking out against Israel. Like there's so much that Donald Trump has done, especially in his second term, that's just like undermining American democracy as we know it. And you are one of the most popular motherfuckers out there, and you're just so quiet about it. The only time he comes out of his hole is to just like rat fuck Bernie or something. Nothing about Zohran Mamdani, you know? It's just, you suck. You suck, dude. I hope Trump puts him in prison for this, okay? Maybe when he gets out of prison, after he goes to prison, it'll force his ass to, like, start taking some fucking stances. God damn, dude. He's really not. You just aren't listening. He has talked about a bunch. No, he has not. He has not talked about Israel-Palestine He's not talking about the single greatest fucking crime that the American government is committing right now at all. He is so hyper obsessed with his legacy and his Netflix deals and being friends with like Jay-Z that the only time black people getting sick of carrying this country and getting shit on, he's tired. Dude, shut the fuck up. Barack Obama isn't just a black person, okay? That argument is already idiotic to begin with, and I do not entertain it. Please shut the fuck up. But Barack Obama is the former president, okay? What are you talking about? He's not your uncle that protested during the fucking civil rights movement, okay? Shut up. He was the former fucking president, man. He is black. Bro, this... Oh, God damn. It's the most annoying fucking Gen X attitude I hear so goddamn consistently. I feel like it's got to be rage bait at this point where people will be like, black people are tired. Black people are tired. Black people are tired. Dude, What are you saying? It doesn't matter. These same forces that are coming after like Hispanic people are gonna fuck over black people. They already started fucking over black people. What do you mean black people are tired? Okay, step out of the conversation. You're not a white woman, okay? You're black. You're not a white woman. You can't stay out of this conversation. It doesn't work like that. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. There's never been a fucking singular political movement in this goddamn country that hasn't centered fucking over black people. What do you mean black people are tired? We're gonna step out of this. Okay, step out of it. Just because you stepped out of it doesn't fucking mean that the government is not going to come after you. They already are, and they will continue to do so. You don't magically become a fucking wine mom living in the countryside by saying, oh, I stepped out of it. What is this? When someone is the president, they're no longer like a... you can't do identity politics to defend a president, okay? And they're a former president, and they're lack of interest in addressing any of the things that are going on. Anyway.
Quote, widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. Obama noted that those findings were affirmed by Republicans in Congress at the time, including Trump's now Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. The Obama spokesman adding, quote, these bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. The Justice Department won't say when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will meet with Maxwell or where. She's currently serving her sentence in a federal prison in Florida. Maxwell's attorney tells ABC News they are in discussions with the government, saying in a statement, quote, Ghislaine will always testify truthfully. Michael?
All right, John, thank you so much for that. And everybody will be paying attention for sure.
My next guest, as promised, is Maria Farmer.
While I agree he's been quiet, should be speaking out more, do you not think that the first black president that really let Obama do what he wanted while he was in office, who was really running the show? What do you mean? Every president, including Donald Trump, is still beholden to the same capital forces that dominate American society and dominate the entire planet. Okay? It's the people that run the show have not changed. And Barack Obama literally was a servant to those same masters in the same exact way that Donald Trump is. If you're wondering why Donald Trump has not released the Epstein files, then you'll understand why Barack Obama, who was, besties with Rashid Khalidi and Edward Said, was also noticeably absent with the exception of the Iran denuclearization agreement from the Israel conversation. And even though he was branded the #1 Jew hater by Israel and the advocacy groups, he still, on his way out, gave a $40 million comprehensive defense package to Israel, a decade-long $40 billion, sorry, not million, what am I saying? $40 billion with a B, defense package to Israel. Maybe now that he's in the crosshairs, it'll kick his ass into high gear and he'll start talking about it or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, can you attack Bush just like how you did Obama? George W. Bush is still the singular greatest war criminal in modern American history. What are you talking about? Guys, okay, let me explain something to you. Just because I'm not talking about one other president doesn't mean I like that person. Stop trying to engage in hypocrisy fishing, okay? What the fuck is this? What's going on? Is this a fishing expedition? You've noticeably not said anything about Adolf Hitler. I'm beginning to think you might like him. Like, shut the fuck up. I start criticizing Barack Obama, and motherfuckers go, what about Bush? Why aren't you saying anything about Bush? Okay, I'm going to criticize Bush. You're going to be like, why aren't you saying anything about Bill Clinton? I start criticizing Bill Clinton. What about George H.W. Bush? I say something about George H.W. Bush. What about Ronald Reagan? Shut the fuck up, dude. Holy shit. Do we have to work our way all the way back to George Washington? What is happening? God damn, this kind of attitude is so stupid. Okay, Radlibs, shut your bitch ass mouths up, okay? Sit down. It's one of the most annoying tendencies that fucking baby leftists have, which is like a thing that I didn't say, a thing that I have not talked about. It must mean that I'm actually in favor of that thing and I'm actually being hypocritical for some other secretive alternative reason,
says Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assaulted her. So she says she saw Trump at Epstein's office late at night in 1995. At the time, she was 25 years old. Epstein had just hired Farmer, who was an artist, to help him acquire art. Farmer urged the FBI to look at Trump's connections to Epstein twice, in 1996 and again in 2006, which, of course, means Trump's name could very well be in those government files that the administration is refusing to release. Maria Farmer is now suing the government to try to get the unredacted files about the allegations she brought forward about Epstein. President Trump has not been the target of any investigation related to Epstein, nor has he been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in this case. Maria Farmer is out front now for her first television interview, sharing her story since filing her lawsuit, and she is joined by her attorney, Jennifer Freeman. So thanks very much to both of you. And Maria, I want to give everyone a chance to understand exactly what happened here. I mean, you said that Jeffrey Epstein calls you to come to his office and you go, and then you're sitting there waiting, and Donald Trump walks in. What happened?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on, Aaron. I really appreciate it, because I need to say up front that I've waited 3 decades to be able to even be heard about this, because the government has not held any of the people I reported accountable. And so basically the night before I went in, before I began working for Epstein, he called me at very late in the evening and asked me to come up to the Helmsley Palace offices. And I didn't even have money for a subway token. It's kind of embarrassing. So I had to go running up there. And so I told Epstein, I'll be up there. It'll probably take me until like 9. He's like, okay. So I get there and I'm waiting. It's dark. Like there's no light on in the offices. And I thought that was really weird. So I'm seated against the wall in the main part of the offices and just waiting for Epstein. And he says, I'll be out in a minute, you know, and he's got the door closed. And then a few minutes later, this man walks in a business suit, kind of tall, imposing. And I immediately was like, that's Donald Trump. What's he doing here? I'm supposed to be working for Epstein and interviewing with him. Why is Donald Trump here? And he walked up about, a few feet from me and just stood over me in a very imposing way and looked at me like he was in on some secret or something. It was really weird, like smirking, kind of. And I felt threatened, so I made an ugly face. And when I made that ugly face, Epstein walked out from the offices on this side. Trump's standing here, I'm here. And he walks out of his office and he goes, oh, no. He was laughing at me. And he goes, she's not here for you. Follow me, right? And he escorts him in to this other room. And I always wondered, who was she in there? Was someone in there, right? And I have no way of knowing, nothing. But I felt very intimidated because I had on running shorts and I was vulnerable, sweaty, just a nobody in an office with these 2 men. That it felt very predatory and uncomfortable. I have to say that when I made that ugly face, he backed off. It wasn't like he was aggressive after that, but he made a really vulgar comment following. And I don't know if it was like, like locker room talk in the 90s, the way men were, but he made a joke to Epstein, oh, I thought she was 16. And I thought that was so strange because at the time my sister she was 15 actually. And I didn't think it was funny, even though it was just a little bit inappropriate, but I thought, I don't know what it was. But anyway, and then they entered that room.
So Epstein says, she's not for you. And then when did Trump make the comment about your age? Again, you were 25 at the time, right? So, I mean, you were a 25-year-old woman. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
was
a woman,
after Epstein
right.
said that comment that he made the comment about age, or?
Yes. So he first said, no, she's not here for you, which immediately made me feel weird. Like, was there someone there, right, in that other room? And so
Oh my God, stop. I don't care. As a fan of yours, you got to chill when black people say they're tired. Yes, we've always been in this fight. We always will be. You can't be upset. We're saying we're tired. I'm from STL, went to school with Lavinia Johnson. involved in Ferguson. I'm 38. It just gets tiring yelling the rooftops about what this country is and other groups pretending shit's not happening until this is in their doorstep. Love you though, my G. Please, please, no. I don't care. I know it frustrates people. I know people will go, oh my God, you're being racist. It's fine if you think I'm racist for saying this. You know this better than anybody else, that politics is not something you can just avoid, okay? You're not a white lady. You're not a white person. You're a black person. In America, you are always going to get over whether you decide to sidestep or not. I'm not saying you are doing that, but whenever people come in here and say shit like that, it pisses me off. You want to know why it pisses me off? Not because I'm a privileged white, okay? It pisses me off because it's wrecker behavior. It's people not only saying that they're pulling themselves out of this conversation, that they're pulling themselves out of this political mobilization. It's anti-solidarity. And on top of that, not only is it anti-solidarity, but it's also like a person looking for recognition for their lack of interest, in being a part of the political conversation. Okay? A person that wants to sit there and be like, I'm done. I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm fatigued. I'm tired. It's not just an acknowledgement. Like, these people are not looking for an acknowledgement of like all of the horrible experiences that they've gone through as a consequence of like being born black in the United States of America, an objectively white supremacist nation. It's more so that they want permission for their lack of interest in further being a part of the political mobilization at all. And it's stupid. That's it. If you feel that way, then shut the fuck up. I'm not going to give you validation for it. So I don't care when someone comes in here and tries to do that kind of shit. It doesn't matter what their background is. Okay? This isn't one of those spaces where you can get away with saying shit like that. And it's more often than not repeated by people who literally think, well, I voted for Kamala Harris. That's it. I see it so much. I see it so much with Gen Xers, especially. Okay? Let's be real. Okay? Let's be real. There are a lot of Gen Xers out there who love saying, well, I voted for Kamala Harris. I did my duty. Now you guys wanted Donald Trump. It's your fault. Okay. Well, good luck to you then. But, you know, you're not gonna win over anybody here. No one is gonna look at that and go, whoa, wow, she really did do her best. She voted for Kamala. I guess now she can stay out of this conversation. That's it. And it's like additionally funny because it's additionally funny because like this was in defense of Barack Obama. Okay, Barack Obama is tired. What do you mean Barack Obama is tired? Tired from what? Tired from doing Netflix deals? Like, what are you talking about? Tired from being besties with like Jay-Z and Beyonce? Is that, oh man, it's so tiring to be in the fucking Hamptons all the time.
That's another reason I was nervous. And so as soon as he said that, laughed, I made the face, all that stuff, they started to walk away into that other room where he's escorting him. He goes, come with me. And he takes Trump into this other room in the offices at 9 o'clock at night. And there's no one else in, that I know of in these offices, but was someone in that room. So I always wondered what that was about. And anyway, that comment was made under his breath as they were entering that room. And I thought it was rude. I don't care what age I was. Like, it's rude to say.
Which, Jennifer, I guess, brings...
Bro, just say you don't understand what it's like to be black and move on. No need to shame folks or want to take a break from the insanity for a bit. Here you go, 34-month subscriber. Here is the attention that you ordered. Suck my dick. There is no standpoint theory here when we're talking about intersectionality and solidarity. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care that you're black. I cannot stress this enough. Nobody asked, okay? Nobody asked. Shut the f up. You are not special, okay? You are not special. You're coming here to a community where I do understand to the best of my ability. Of course, I will never fully understand it. I'm not black. But if you're coming in here to be like, just say you don't understand what the black experience is and move on. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be like, yes, sir, you're absolutely correct, sir. I'm so sorry. You can actually come in here and talk about how tired you are and how it's perfectly permissible for you to just like step out of the conversation. You can't. The conversation is going to find you anyway. Okay? I don't care. God damn, dude. Liberals are so annoying. Holy shit. What do you mean? People unironically want me to behave like, I saw a tweet the other day from the Will Smith slap incident. You guys remember the Will Smith slap incident? There was like a lady who tweeted, oh my God, white people were tweeting up a storm on both ends of that conversation. Some people were like, Will Smith could have killed him. That was incredible aggression. We have to literally assassinate Will Smith. And on the other hand, there were white people that were tweeting stuff like, you know, at first I wanted to make a take about Will Smith. And then I looked down and I noticed I had white hands and Will Smith had black hands. And then Chris Rock was also black. So I just decided to sit my white ass down and listen. Like, you can be normal. That is my expectation of all of you. Okay. You don't need to otherize black people. And I'm also not going to allow black people to come in and be like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm tired from doing activism. We're done. Okay. Jesus Christ. What the It's also, why do chatters keep asking you why you aren't constantly walking on eggshells? Yeah, I know. I've never done that, and I will never do that. That's part of the reason why I draw so much animosity from a lot of groups online, because they see me in this like pop-off moment, and they see a clip, and they go, wow, this guy surely must be racist. But it's like, no, I've never played this game of being like, oh, I guess like, let's do some standpoint theory. Please stop. Also, you're not like participating in activism. You're watching a Twitch stream, okay? Shut the up. What do you mean? What is this? You just want to be heard. You want to be heard about how tired you are. I get it, okay? God damn. Nobody wants you to walk on eggshells. You just be going hard on black voices expressing their frustration. Yes, because just because a voice is black doesn't mean it's a valid concern, okay? This is the thing that I'm trying to describe to you. If I'm having a conversation about solidarity, okay, and someone comes in and goes, well, as a black person, I don't want to be a part of this because Obama, this was like in defense of Obama, okay? Obama is black and he's tired, just like all other black people are tired. It's like, okay, well, we're talking about a former president. Like, what do you want me to say? You sound like a crybaby bitch. Are you talking to me? Oh. We are a few seconds away from black liberal chatters demanding you wash our feet is so weirdly infantilizing to us. Man, I understand where exhaustion comes from, but like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow Obama to get away with bombing hospitals. The fuck are we doing? We don't have to give it up for the war criminal. Solidarity. It's like, by the way, my demand wasn't even like Obama apologize for all the war crimes that he engaged in. Okay. My demand was for Obama to at least say something about Donald Trump just ripping apart the social fabric that is basically holding on by a couple threads and keeping American society intact as a former president and one of the most popular political figures. That's it. The defense of that isn't to say, oh, well, he's black and he's tired. He's experiencing fatigue. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, your demand was for Trump to arrest Obama. Yes, I did. I said that. Yeah. Maybe that'll kick him into high gear and will cause him to actually participate in the conversation for once.
Me to where you are now, I know you're helping Maria now sue to get the unredacted files, unredacted government files related to.
I do honestly think this is coming from a place where people are just like bored of the normal back and forth. Everyone is experiencing fatigue from the consistent death and destruction that they see. So they want to have like a more fun conversation. A more fun conversation that centers them, makes them feel good by being like, oh, no, you don't understand. Woe is me. I'm getting attacked mercilessly. And now I'm getting attacked in this space that I frequented that I thought was like a safe space or something. Anyway, breaking news. The exclusive from the Wall Street Journal. The Department of Justice has told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Now we know. I mean, we knew this already. And now we know why he's like being this scared.
Original incident that you're talking about is where
you read one Obama comment, everyone comes out and knives,
three guests
dude.
On this show who either knew Epstein or knew Trump have all used the exact same words to describe Trump and Epstein's relationship over the past week as we've been talking to them and you've heard them. And they have done this totally unprompted. So here is a former Trump business executive, one of Epstein's former girlfriends, and an Epstein accuser who says she had a troubling incident with Trump. They all said the exact same thing here on Out Front.
They were best friends.
They were best friends.
Was his best friend.
You heard them, and right there, Jack O'Donnell, Trump's former business associate, talking about what Epstein meant to Trump. These are people, right, who each met Epstein and Trump at different times, in different places, and just to state the obvious, in totally different capacities. And yet they all concur on this crucial thing. They say that when they knew them, Trump and Epstein were best friends. So in just a
That joke about trying to get Medicare for all from Trump to forget about Epstein came up on The Daily Show. Wait, they did? They put that in there?
moment, I'm going to speak to Mark Epstein. He is the brother of Jeffrey Epstein about all of this. Out front now, Mark Epstein, the brother of Jeffrey Epstein. And Mark, you know, from what you know, from what you saw, how close was your brother to Donald Trump?
They were very close. They were good friends. Jeffrey used to sometimes tell me things that Donald said that were funny. I know Donald was in Jeff's office a lot back in the 90s.
MSNBC is live covering the Jeffrey Epstein, the new Jeffrey Epstein leaks from Wall Street Journal.
Any reason why Tulsi Gabbard was trotted out in front of the White House press corps today at the briefing?
It's entirely possible. But again, you know, this really seems to me to be a departure from, like, I feel like Trump has had a pretty good handle on his supporters, on the media, on how to conduct this sort of, this symphony of attention, right? He's usually pretty good at programming these things. What is so striking to me is how over the last 2 weeks or so, he has behaved as if he doesn't understand the world that he lives in and the attention ecosystem, like all of this. I mean, it's very clear, given all of his associations with Epstein in the past, that it would have been, for someone like him, to be able to not like push all this aside. I feel like he would have been able to at least skirt around this, at least have a little more control over the story and the narrative. But this idea that, you can basically change the news cycle by doing something else, it's worked for him in the past, but this story just doesn't behave the same way. It's just so very sticky.
This is why you don't play with fire. I mean, when you're telling a bunch of people, your supporters, Tim, that there is a pedophile ring of powerful lawmakers and officials and rich people who are controlling the government, and they're drinking the blood of kids and they're sexually abusing them. You are feeding a fringe theory, and you're giving it oxygen, you're giving it life, and you're saying to them, like if you're Kash Patel or J.D. Vance or any of these officials, I will unveil this when I get into office. I will uncover this horrible ring. I will make your life better, because what's stopping you from succeeding in this world is this cabal, this evil cabal. Don't worry, I'm going to get in there. And then when you get in there, you realize, oh, wait a minute, they want to see this. And oh, wait a minute, it's dangerous, actually physically dangerous and reputationally dangerous to release hearsay.
Well, he's also back to do this. But like, he had a little bit of a scapegoat in the first term, right? When he wanted to change the subject, it's like, oh, the deep state is blocking me, and I have these old establishment Republicans that we need to get rid of them. He came in and he put Kash Patel, a podcast conspiracy theorist, in charge of the FBI, so that Kash Patel could reveal things like who was in the Epstein list and, all the other assorted related conspiracies, right? That's why Matt Gaetz was the first person he was going to put in charge of DOJ. That's why Dan Bongino, another podcaster, is the deputy FBI director, right?
So Dan Bongino.
Well, according to the bottom of the story, he exploded at Pam Bondi, his face red, and called her a liar. So I don't know. It seems like they have some personnel issues. But so he doesn't have an excuse this time, right? There's nobody that he can point a finger at and say it's their fault. He put these people in and said, this time I'm coming back to get revenge.
Can't contain it now.
Yeah, right. We can't, this whole thing, look over there, squirrel, that works if you're at Mar-a-Lago and Joe Biden's in charge, you can blame him. Or if you're the deep state is in charge, you can't do that now. And to me, the biggest news about this story, just one sentence on it real quick, is when Hakeem Jeffries first talked about this about a week out, he was like, what we know is either they were lying then or they were lying now. Either it's a cover up or they didn't really have the goods and they're pretending to. This pretty much makes clear that this is a cover up. which is a very different story and much harder to contain. Because now if the Democrats ever get back in power, all these people are going to be subpoenaed. It's not a 5-week story for Mike Johnson. It's a 2-year story. In 2027 now, they're all going to have to discuss this meeting. And so, I mean, I just think that it makes a big difference over where the story was a couple days ago.
It's 3:30. The House is holding their last votes of the month, and that is probably the best time last votes in congressional history because every single member, I mean, we'll actually see. I'm curious to see if there are members like Tim Burchett whose opinions change based on this. I don't think they will, but
how might it change?
Well, they don't want Trump to be. I don't. Again, we don't know what. And
they don't want Trump to be implicated, so they start to pull back.
But on the other hand, a lot of them will say, well, if Trump did nothing wrong here, and his name is just collateral damage, and it's just the black book, as Lisa said, or flight logs, then...
Yeah, let's just be very clear. The only people charged in this were Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's behind bars right now. Nobody else who might be contained in this material has been charged. A lot of it, as this story mentions, is hearsay, which includes other names. It's part of the reason, I mean, we've had Chuck Rosenberg on explaining this very simply and clearly and calmly. The reason why you don't release notes is because you can very seriously damage someone's reputation, put somebody in danger based on what can just be hearsay. And that's why you don't drum up this sort of furor.
Right. But can I add one other thing? Because I always read things like a lawyer. The most important sentence to me in this entire story is the one that starts in a statement to the Journal on Friday. Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. Quote, as part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings, end quote, they said. That seems to me to be an indication that as long ago as last Friday, which is a lifetime in this story, Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi knew that the Journal was aware of this meeting and that they had told the president in May that his name.
I think it's also that quote to me seems to confirm that they briefed him on this and that he was mentioned at least in some way, shape, or form as part of this. Again, not implicated in doing anything wrong, but that is a confirmation of the story.
We should also just really quick say that he hasn't been implicated, but there are Epstein accusers who have accused Donald Trump of sexual harassment. Stacey Williams said that Jeffrey Epstein brought her to Trump's office and he groped her. So. Yeah, we don't know what's in here. I'm just saying, but it could be hearsay, but also you would assume that if Jeffrey Epstein's accusers have mentioned Trump in public, maybe they have investigations.
Ashley, I'm going to give this one to you because you were at the golf course with me in Scotland when Rupert Murdoch showed up all of a sudden in 2016. Rupert Murdoch was not a fan of Donald Trump, and all of a sudden he was at his golf course. And Donald Trump actually came up to me off camera and was so excited and wanted to tell me that Rupert Murdoch was there to have dinner with him because clearly it was like, you know, his white whale. Murdoch is here. Murdoch is the one overseeing the Wall Street Journal. He's the one. I mean, he's got Fox News, but he also has the Journal, and the Journal is the one that is becoming a sharper thorn.
I like that we've just completely cast aside any sort of like editorial independence of these journalistic outlets, and we just openly talk about them as like, you know, vehicles for billionaires and their own personal interests. I mean, at least there's a sense of honesty here. I don't like that they're covering it honestly, but then also simultaneously not talking about how fucking crazy it is that like our expectation is that these papers are supposed to represent the interests of their billionaire masters, their billionaire owners, which is crazy. You know, maybe it would be nice to also say how fucking ridiculous that is. But then again, this is MSNBC, so of course they are also defending corporate interests to a certain degree.
Trump, that to his supporters, if he says it's time to move on, there's nothing to see here, they should move on. In a sense from him that someone like Rupert Murdoch is an ally who was involved in trying to convince him who to choose for VP, that should be a relationship where if Trump says it's time to move on, the Journal moves on. It doesn't drop another explosive scoop the following week. So that gives you a sense that this story is getting legs and he is losing control of the narrative and his supporters in a way that is frankly quite rare for him.
Tina Brown has said it's clear Rupert Murdoch doesn't give a flip about Donald Trump. Here's another statement, by the way, from the White House. It does not specifically address the information reported about the president being briefed that his name appears, but here's what Stephen Chung is saying right now. The fact is that the president kicked him, Jeffrey Epstein, out of his club for being a creep. This is nothing more than a continuation of the fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media, just like the Obama Russiagate scandal, which President Trump was right about. This is adding a lot of the distraction stuff that we've been talking about, which was not included, I guess, in the initial statement to the Journal on Friday. They've updated their materials since Friday. All right, I'm going to take a really quick break. On the other end, we have some more breaking news out of Congress.
I'm actually going to skip this. I don't really care that much. We'll, of course, talk about Tulsi Gabbard dropping a bombshell, ironically, not really a bombshell at all, about Barack Obama and how Barack Obama tried to steal the election from Donald Trump in 2016 and all this like crazy shit in an effort to deflect the attention away. I have the article here. Don't worry. In an effort to deflect the attention away from the Epstein stuff, they're pulling out all the stops. They're desperate. They're trying their hardest. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. Justice Department, this is a new Wall Street Journal article that just came out. It's breaking news. Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Bondi also told President at the meeting that Justice decided not to release more Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child pornography and the need to protect victims. When Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi entered. By the way, I don't trust this leak. I don't trust this leak or this new reporting because I think this is to run cover for the administration a little bit. Because the reason why I'm saying that this reporting is running cover for the administration is because of this part. This is what the admin has said. Okay? This is the admin's perspective. Oh, we can't release the Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child pornography. Okay? We know that that's what Pam Bondi has claimed already. No one wants that. No one wants there to be CSAM being circulated online. That's not the point here. Okay? No one wants to know. No, people are not even demanding to unearth the victims here unless they choose to come out themselves. People want affiliates. People want associates. People want information on the level of affiliation. What the entanglements look like. Okay? That's what people want. People want justice for others who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. The idea that this is a conversation about like releasing CSAM is a misnomer, is completely ridiculous. No one is demanding that. Okay? The other reason why I think this is suspicious, this news article is suspicious in some ways, is because Trump already knew that he was mentioned in the Epstein files already. He had an extensive relationship with him from the 90s to the early 2000s. This is all public. There has to be something in there that he doesn't want the public to find out. Okay? It's not necessarily the fact that his name is mentioned in the Epstein files numerous times that is a shocking revelation. He knows that already. He knows that already. Okay? Everybody knows that already. Alex Jones has said that already. He always says, like, Trump is obviously mentioned in the Epstein files numerous times, but he says no direct involvement whatsoever. So I think there is additional involvement with Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that we are not privy to, that he does not want out. Okay? In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the official said. Many other high-profile figures were also named. Trump was told being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. The official said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics, that Trump's appearance in the documents wasn't the focus. They told the president at the meeting that the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. Some of the officials said. One of the officials familiar with the documents said that they contained hundreds of other names. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child pornography and the victim's personal information, the official said. Trump said at the meeting he would defer to the Justice Department's decision not to release any further files. The meeting set the stage for high-profile review to come to an end. Bondi had said in February that Epstein's client list was sitting on her desk to review. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. The administration didn't publicly announce the decision until weeks later on July 7th, when the Justice Department posted a memo on its website. The statement, which was unsigned, stated that a thorough review had turned up no list of Epstein clients, no evidence that would lead to an investigation of uncharged third parties, and no additional documents that merited public discourse or public disclosure. It said that much of the material would have been sealed in a trial to protect victims and to block dissemination of child pornography. Once again, the idea that there is no way to showcase additional revelations about who was involved with Jeffrey Epstein without unearthing who the victims are is ridiculous. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose materials that aren't related to a charged offense. This is another fake news story, just like the previous story by the Wall Street Journal, said White House Communications Director Steve Chung. In a statement to the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As a part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. On Tuesday, Blanche said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days to discuss any possible information about anyone who has committed crimes with Epstein. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021, helping Epstein sex trafficking, and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She has been in custody since she was charged in 2020 and didn't testify at her trial. So, once again, the retort from the Attorney General here is, "Oh, you guys want to see CSAM, I guess, you pesky little freaks," and it's ridiculous. Okay, no one wants to see CSAM. No one wants to see the actual victims. No one wants to know who the actual victims are. Everyone's interest in this case revolves around who are some of society's elites that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein and to what degree was their involvement. Okay? That's it. Anyone who tries to use this as the mechanism of deflection is perhaps one of the dumber people that have either A, cynically decided to use it as a form of deflection to stop you from demanding these answers, or B, was so stupid that they got duped by perhaps the worst possible way of defending Trump's lack of interest in revealing maybe even his own personal involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. More than what we know so far, more than what has been made public over the years. That's it. It is also additionally suspicious that the Trump administration is now working directly with Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? But there is breaking news. House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Ghislaine Maxwell. The deposition will happen at prison in Tallahassee on August 11th.
Brother, control room, Ian Maxwell, speaking to Piers Morgan yesterday. I think it's relevant because, it's him pleading, basically, buttering up Donald Trump on the subject of his sister. It's going to take us a minute to upload it, so we're going to put that on hold for a second. But in the meantime, actually, I want to ask you the question that I asked Tim, which is, if this stuff ends up dirtying up Donald Trump or implicating Donald Trump or embarrassing him or just his name being in the files and it getting out there, how many supporters does he lose? Does he actually risk the MAGA base? Do they believe this conspiracy more than they believe in him?
I mean, again, part of that is unknowable. The MAGA base normally stays with him, but this is an area where we've seen real dissension, not just from some of the voters who want to get to the bottom of this, but even members of his own party who have, put out statements and said publicly, look, you promised us that you were going to get to the bottom of the deep state, that you were going to get rid of all these.
What do I think is going to come from this Ghislaine testimony? I think it's going to be protection for Trump and other high-profile clients of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. The only reason why Trump would ever allow this to happen is in exchange for leniency from his Justice Department. She is going to come out and be like, no one ever did anything criminal. It was only Jeffrey Epstein that did all these sex crimes. I wasn't even involved in those sex crimes, and I'm actually unfairly being prosecuted. Jeffrey Epstein acted alone. Okay? That's what I think she's going to do. She has already said things like that and ran cover for high-profile clients that we know of that have been actively sued and have actually been pushed away from the royal family, like Prince Andrews. So if she's already doing that for Prince Andrews, and if Jeffrey Epstein's close personal best friend / attorney, Alan Dershowitz, is also demanding that Ghislaine Maxwell come out and release her public testimony in broad daylight, then I'm, of course, going to be very suspicious about what that testimony is going to look like. I think that there is not going to be any truth in this testimony. I think it's going to be in exchange for leniency.
Years, right?
Highly unlikely that the Supreme Court is going to take her case. The one question that she gave to them to review is, was she entitled to claim protection under that sweetheart deal that then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta cut with Jeffrey Epstein? That's a deal that was supposed to extend to his co-conspirators.
By the way, Donald Trump's labor secretary,
Correct.
Alex Acosta, ended up having to resign because of the Epstein drama back in 2017 or 18 or.
No, not 2017, 2019.
Ghislaine Maxwell, because Ghislaine Maxwell is awful, and she was mobbed up with all of these people. Like, she was mobbed up with Prince Andrew. There are pictures of her, obviously, with Trump and Bill Clinton, right? So if the Trump base wants these elites, captured, right? Like, he can't make a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell, who is orchestrating the elite child trafficking. I mean, he can, and again, he'll have a core base of people to go along with him for everything. But like that other part of the world that cares about Epstein that he brought into his coalition, the Rogan crowd, giving a sweetheart deal to Ghislaine Maxwell is not the answer here for Donald Trump.
Can I play devil's advocate here?
Please.
Because what the Trump base is what I assume a big chunk of the Trump base is going to do is say, these are documents that have been created by Democrats, by Obama, by Biden, by Eric Cole. Oh, you just take your pick. Of
they're
course,
not.
None of that is true.
They're not doing that.
Right.
They're not saying that, and they're not doing that.
Same witch hunt that we've had since
The people who care about this stuff are not saying that.
I mean, maybe some people do, but I don't think a big chunk of the base ditches him after this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that. I think that
members of Congress are going to follow what their base wants because they're up for re-election in 15 months.
Yeah, but I think you're right about the Rogan crowd, the extras that put him over the edge. The extras, exactly. Let me play another interesting piece of sound. This is from July 15th. A reporter asked Donald Trump if Pam Bondi had briefed him on what was in the Epstein files. Let me play what she said, what Donald Trump said.
What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it.
Okay, so that was July 15th. Wall Street Journal reports in May is before July on the calendar. May, the AG and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. Again, so he's told this in May, according to the reporting by the Wall Street Journal. He's asked by a reporter in July, and he says, no. Ashley?
So clearly, if the Wall Street Journal reporting is true, then that answer from President Trump is a lie, right? He was told this May, June, July, 3 months prior. He's asked if he was ever told this, and he says no. I will say one thing that is interesting that I had started hearing in the past week or so when I was reporting on this story was White House officials and Trump allies were going to great pains to explain to me, and what they were explaining was true, but to explain to me that just because a name appears.
I think that they're going to try to, the trick the Republicans will play now is, Ghislaine said Trump is in the clear and Dems won't push for the files because they know some of them and world leaders are listed as well. They expect this all to be over before the end of the year. They will try to pack this up, but I don't think they'll be able to get enough people on board. I think that if there's one area where Republicans do exercise a healthy amount of skepticism, perhaps maybe an unhealthy amount of skepticism from time to time, is issues like this one. I don't think it's like vaccines. Trump was Mr. Vaccines. He did, he rolled out the vaccines as expeditiously as possible, and yet his base did not actually step away from being vaccine skeptics. This is another issue that regardless of Operation, the Operation Warp Speed style way that the Trump administration will try to pack this up in unison with the Democrats, I do not believe that there will be people in the base that will stop questioning things. Okay.
Kash Patel's statement. The memo released on July 6th is consistent with the thorough review conducted by the FBI.
No, I think there will be a lot more people that are still skeptical, even after the Ghislaine stuff. If anything, the Ghislaine stuff will just like throw gasoline on the fire.
And this story is no different. And I will repeat what I said at the top. When you fuel a fire, you better be sure that you can control it. And I give a lot of, I listened to Chuck Rosenberg when he says it is dangerous to release files or notes from prosecutors that have not concluded with a charge. It is dangerous to release unsubstantiated allegations or hearsay. They have been whipping this up, Donald Trump and his allies, now for years. And now they're in the position of demands from their own base to release what could just be hearsay and unsubstantiated allegations. Okay, everyone, that was quite an hour. We made it. Tim Miller, Jake Sherman, Lisa Rubin, Ashley Parker. Thank you guys very much. That'll do it for me today. Deadline White House starts.
Okay, well, let's get back to the Wall Street Journal article now. The breaking news coming out of Wall Street Journal, and the additional details of Donald Trump. What he knew, additional details on what Donald Trump was informed on from the Jeffrey Epstein files to try to figure out why he does not want this information coming out. Where were we? The meeting. Okay. They told Trump, they also told Trump that a senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any documents. The meeting set the stage for the high-profile review to come to an end. The administration didn't publicly announce their decision until weeks later on July 7th. And this is when much of the saga began in terms of like Trump's base, understandably getting upset. The statement, which was unsigned, stated through a thorough review had turned up no list of clients, no evidence whatsoever. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose it. Blah blah blah. And in a statement to the Journal on Friday, Pam Bondi, the deputy attorney general, Todd Blanche, said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As a part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. On Tuesday, Blanche said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days to discuss any possible information. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of helping Epstein sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She has been in custody since she was charged in 2020 and didn't testify at her trial. One of Maxwell's lawyers, David Oscar Marcus, confirmed the discussions and said, "We are grateful to the President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case. Maxwell has been seeking to have her conviction overturned, contending she didn't receive a fair trial." Now, this is a crazy thing to say because they're making it obviously this is Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney saying this, but it's wild that they're making it seem like Ghislaine Maxwell is also an innocent party to this conspiracy, that she did not play a formative role, that she did not actively play a role in identifying and trafficking minors and even harming them personally beyond that, as you know, the court documents clearly showed. That's why she's serving a lengthy prison sentence. She was also engaged in the act of sexual violence against these minors as well. She was, again, convicted for this. She wasn't just charged. This wasn't just like an investigation. She was convicted of these crimes, convicted beyond reasonable doubt by a jury of her peers. Remember, make no mistake. So for her attorney to make it seem as though they are collaborating with the administration to declare her innocence, to find her innocence, is crazy. Both Epstein and Trump said years ago they had a falling out. Trump has said their friendship ended before the financier was indicted for soliciting prostitution in 2006. Epstein later pleaded guilty to procuring a minor for prostitution in 2008, served time in a Florida jail, and registered as a sex offender. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019, Trump said he hadn't talked to Epstein for about 15 years. Epstein died in jail that year while awaiting trial on federal charges of sex trafficking. FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case. By the way, this is most likely people like Elon Musk that is being reported on here. Because remember when Elon Musk was talking about how Trump is not releasing the Epstein files because his name is mentioned on it numerous times, and everyone was like shocked by this revelation. Yeah, I think it was directly coming from Kash Patel. Kash Patel most likely told Elon Musk when they thought that there was an allegiance there. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case, but said in a statement that the memo on the Justice Department website explaining why the department couldn't release more Epstein documents was consistent with a thorough review conducted by the FBI and DOJ. Once again, these guys are behaving exactly in the same ways that they would if they were a part of the deep state, even though they were there to detangle and destroy the deep state, right? It turns out when you get to the position of power, you also are very much so deep state because they are there to serve their billionaire masters. It's not remotely surprising to someone like myself, but I welcome the newfound curiosity and skepticism from the people that were formerly in the Trump base. Okay, if you are a Trump supporter who thought that Trump was going to actually uncover all of these truths and actually actively combat the deep state or something like that, instead of playing a role in protecting the interests of all these elite potential pedophiles and all of these like financial elites that were directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein, you were wrong, but it's okay. It's good to have a healthy dose of skepticism here for Donald Trump, and maybe you can use that as a learning opportunity for other things as well. Okay? Are we really still trying to scandalize Trump at this lame rubbish? This really sums up your channel. That's awesome. Thank you. Are we still trying to scandalize Trump at this lame rubbish? This really sums up your channel. This got to be the worst bait of all time. It's crazy because as a British person, you should still be interested in this, considering Ghislaine Maxwell's ties. You got to grow up, man. This whole thing is wrong. Yeah, grow up, dude. Grow up, mate. Grow up, mate. It's all right. People, children, it's all right. Prince Andrew did it. What you mean? What you mean, lad? Don't talk about it. No. It's rubbish, innit? It's as boring. It's boring that the administration is defending paedophiles. It's boring. After the House of Commons and the Lords in it have done a bit of a scandal, yeah? I'm from England. This is normal. I'm from England, yeah? A little bit of nonsense is normal, mate. Why do you care? It's a little bit of shagging, like Jimmy Savile, his lordship, his eminence himself. Why do you care? I don't know how you do things over there. I don't know how used to nonsense you are over there, okay? But you don't have to be against everything just for the sake of it. Your channel will be better for it, and so will you. I love that this guy can't even tell me why I'm in the wrong for continuously covering this incredibly important story. And he's just like, well, here's a couple pence for you, right? I'm going to tell you how to cover the news, yeah? Well, thank you for your advice. Thank you for your advice, big dog. I think I'm going to continue doing this, okay? I love when someone comes in here and is like, well, let me tell you what to do here. Let me give you some unsolicited advice on how to be a top Twitch streamer. Okay? It is pretty funny to take this stance on this issue, which is such a, it's an issue that unites pretty much everybody across the political spectrum around the globe. It's like the worst thing. Check logs, same guy from a couple days ago. Oh, is it one of the pets that I didn't actually clap? It's boring, mate. It's boring. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't do it. James Gunn is a hack who makes B movies. You know your channel topic, Trump says people interested in Epstein are bad people, is about as close to the truth that you can get. Wait, what? Okay, this has got to be like Unit 8200 Israeli bot farm, right? Because it's odd that he only chirps at me when I say, this genocide thing is all in your head, though. I don't think Trump or the UK enjoyed genocides or killing babies. Seems unlikely. And then the only thing The only time he comes in here is either to say Israel's not doing a genocide because America and the UK would never do that, or to defend Jeffrey Epstein. That's crazy. Bot account for sure, obviously. July 15th is when it was created and following since July 15th. I wonder why this freshly created account is only coming in here to say Israel's not doing a genocide and that people should stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Very suspicious. Very interesting. Details of Bondi's meeting with Trump haven't been previously reported. Trump's advisors had for months, including during the presidential campaign, said they would release the files, and Trump, while at times equivocal, indicated he would support the release. Trump supporters, including some now serving in senior roles in the administration, claimed that the documents would expose global elites and powerful Democrats who spent time with the disgraced financier. The decision not to release the files has triggered the most serious backlash from Trump's political base since he launched his bid for the White House a decade ago, with a vocal group of the president's allies seeing the move as a massive betrayal. Trump has told administration officials in recent weeks that he wanted the growing public attention on Epstein to go away. On Tuesday, House Speaker Mike Johnson cut short the legislative session as some lawmakers demanded votes on more releases related to the Epstein files. Again, lots of weird things happening in this story, and yet people still go, it's nothing, mate. Why do you care? Why do you care about this? Don't talk about it. Don't you dare talk about it. Interesting. Grand jury testimony. Last Thursday, Wall Street Journal published an article about a letter bearing Trump's name. We already talked about this. It was a body drawing of a naked woman with Donald Trump's signature as the pubes of the lady. A spokesman for Dow Jones said, we have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit. Donald Trump also said he was launching a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for this. On Thursday, Trump said he had directed Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. On Friday, Bondi and Blanche asked a federal court to do so, saying it was a matter of public interest. The grand jury testimony makes up only a portion of the more than 300 gigs of Epstein-related material the FBI compiled as a part of the recent review. Among other material, the FBI confiscated digital and documentary evidence from Epstein's properties in the U.S. Virgin Islands and in New York in 2019 when he was arrested. Grand jury testimony is subject to secrecy protections and faces potential high hurdles for public release. Administration officials privately acknowledged that the court is unlikely to release the testimony, which is precisely the reason why Donald Trump was comfortable enough saying, yeah, they should release the testimony as long as federal courts allow it, knowing full well that they wouldn't. And they haven't, for the record. A federal judge declared that the files will be kept sealed. On July 15th, an ABC News journalist asked Trump, as he took questions from reporters of the White House, what Bondi told him about the Epstein files. Specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the files? And he said, no, she's given us a very quick briefing, Trump responded. He also said Bondi had really done a very good job on the Epstein review, except that was a lie. Pam Bondi had actually informed him that his name appeared in the Epstein files, as this Wall Street Journal article indicates. There's also a Bondi-Bongino clash, a Bondino clash, if you will. The decision to not release the files and the harsh fallout among the public has roiled some of Trump's senior staff who have staked their reputations on exposing the ties between Epstein and moneyed elites. Patel, the FBI director, and his deputy Dan Bongino had been in favor of releasing more documents, people familiar with the effort said. Bongino has told colleagues that his association with the administration's decision to keep the files private has eroded his credibility among the base of support that fueled his rise as a successful podcaster and media personality on the right, according to a senior administration official. Bongino did not respond to requests for comment. Bongino has also been noticeably absent from the conversation, as has Kash Patel. I think they're trying to basically hide in the shadows as this back and forth continues, so people forget their direct involvement. On July 9th, after ABC News reached out to the White House about Bondi's briefing to the president, Bongino and Bondi clashed in a meeting with in which Bondi alleged that Bongino secretly provided information to the media to damage her reputation, people familiar with the meeting said. Bongino in turn exploded about Bondi, his face red, and called her a liar, a senior administration official said. If I was Pam Bondi, I would not be testing a man like Dan Bongino because he does take steroids allegedly, and he is prone to having roid rage for that reason. I myself have actually experienced a little bit of his wrath in the past. Here's Ron, the editor-in-chief of Midas Touch, saying, Caitlin Collins reports after House Oversight Chair James Comer subpoenaed Ghislaine Maxwell. Her attorney, David Oscar Marcus, tells CNN, as for the congressional subpoena, Ms. Maxwell is taking this one step at a time. She looks forward to her meeting with the Department of Justice, and that discussion will help inform how she proceeds. Which means before she agrees to lie for Trump, she wants an agreement to a sentence reduction or commutation. Maxwell has a lot of leverage on Trump all of a sudden, and she's going to use it to benefit herself. So what you are experiencing here is if Ghislaine Maxwell gets a sweetheart leniency deal, a plea bargain or something like that, if she gets like some sort of sentence commutation, know full well that she is lying in her congressional testimony. And because this cover-up is bipartisan from all aspects of Congress, with like some notable exceptions like Thomas Massie, maybe a couple others, who is going to, in the congressional testimony, who is going to actually grill her to uncover the truth? Who is going to point out the inconsistencies, especially if they are not privy to the court, to the grand jury indictment documents that have not been unsealed? If they don't actually have the documents, they can't even effectively counter her testimony. So this, I suspect, will be a part of one big cover-up. I think this is Ghislaine Maxwell, in exchange for leniency or sentence commutation, is going to basically lie at the behest of Donald Trump. She has already lied and said that there were other high-profile clientele that had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, blah, 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 all this stuff, including Prince Andrew, like the most high-profile clientele. So that's where we're at.
And I wonder, Andrew Weissman, how someone so instrumental in the investigation into Epstein and Maxwell is getting away with saying nothing.
Well, this is what happens when you don't have any part of the government in the hands of an opposing party, whether you have complete Democratic hegemony or Republican hegemony, is that you don't have the ability to get answers other than sort of great reporting that we're seeing today from the Wall Street Journal. The FBI, you would think, would be very much defending a righteous prosecution, of Mr. Epstein and of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted at trial of Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, killed himself before he could go to trial. But you would think a normal FBI, so we're in Earth 1, not Earth 2, would have a lot to say about trying to have Ghislaine Maxwell strike some deal after what's commonly known as blowing trial. That's the kind of thing that you would not normally go down that road, and the FBI director would be standing behind the career people at the FBI who worked on this case. It's worth noting that at the prosecution side of this, Maureen Comey was one of the prosecutors.
I'm telling you, dude, I don't think the Trump loyalists, or at least there's always the 30% base, right? I think that under normal circumstances, when Trump deflects, the 30% base goes along with him. Okay? This is the one issue where they haven't actually budged. Some have, right? But many have not. This is unique. I think even if the Ghislaine Maxwell testimony comes out on August 11th, and she's basically saying that Trump had nothing to do with this, blah, 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 all this stuff, I don't think that a lot of the people who are invested in this case are going to believe it. I don't think that they're going to go along with this. I think they're going to see it for what it actually is, a cover-up.
That we saw with respect to Mayor Eric Adams. And so one of the things that I'm keeping, sort of eyes and ears open for is whether we're going to see additional firings or resignations from career people who think this is really outlandish.
If your number one thing is that you're anti-establishment and you're invested in draining the swamp, okay? And this is the swampiest of the swamp, and you're refusing to drain it. Some people eventually are going to believe you when you say you wanted to drain the swamp, and they're going to demand that. And this is the closest people have ever gotten to draining the swamp, I guess, or at least a piece of it, uncovering a piece of this puzzle. So the very fact that he is outwardly refusing in a way that is uncharacteristic to Trump, is causing people to pressure him more. And with that pressure, he does not respond well to that kind of pressure. Every time people are pressuring him further and further on this issue, he keeps coming out and saying some more ridiculous things, which causes even more animosity amongst his base. So I think I don't think it's going to work. Of course, like as I was talking about earlier, there have been some new revelations, new ways of trying to shift the attention away, shift people's priorities away. Obviously, one of the biggest villains among the base for MAGA was Barack Obama. And it's clear to me that the Trump administration is actively trying to move the attention away by focusing on Barack Obama here. Charlie Kirk, being the loyal servant of the pedophilic elite that he is also playing along with this conspiracy or playing along with this deflection. Wow, page 17 of the declassified House Intelligence Committee report is wild. It reveals that Russia had huge amounts of potential anti-Clinton dirt that it sat on in the final days of the 2016 campaign. It included internal claims that Hillary was on heavy tranquilizers and suffering intensified psycho-emotional problems, evidence of severe health ailments like type 2 diabetes and ischemic heart disease, internal DNC comms that Obama and others found Hillary's health extraordinarily alarming, evidence of secret meetings with religious leaders where Clinton offered significant increases in funding from the State Department in return for their support, internal Democrat admissions that European allies were unenthusiastic about a Clinton presidency and thought she was not up for the job for head of state. If Russia was really all in on supporting Trump and hurting Clinton, it would have leaked this information in October 2016 when her lead in the RCP average slipped to just 1.3 plus. Ischemic, sorry. Instead, Russia didn't, completely debunking the core assumptions of the Russia hoax. Rather than admit they were wrong, Brennan's CIA buried the info and manufactured a completely alternative reality to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump. Charlie Kirk is trying to relitigate the 2016 election that Donald Trump won at the behest of Donald Trump, at the direction of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump does not want to have a conversation about Jeffrey Epstein.